Hi everyone, how are you doing? My name is Natalie. I'm a Western tropical astrologer and I use a whole sign house system for all my forecasts and readings. In this video, we are going to talk about this upcoming week astrology forecast, and we'll be talking about March 23rd to 29th of 2026. We have a few aspects happening this week that sort of talk to each other and relate to each other. So I'll be grouping them together and talk about it. So the Sun will first conjunct with Saturn, and both of them will sextile Pluto on 25th. The Sun on 25th and Saturn on 28th. So they all kind of relate to each other. Sun conjunct Saturn in Aries at 4 degrees. So as we all know, many of us, if we watch any astrology videos, we are very familiar with this epic Saturn-Neptune conjunction that just happened last month, February 20th, in the sign of Aries, when Neptune and Saturn comes together. And this aspect doesn't happen often. It happens roughly around every 36 years. So once every 36 years. Because of the speed that they travel, they will each do their thing through the zodiacal wheel, but around every 36 years they will come together, and when two planets come together they initiate a new cycle. So roughly every 36 years, and because we are tracking what's been happening every 36 years, the pattern of Saturn and Neptune when they come together is usually when the world will have some sort of new order. Because Neptune talks about something that will melt away, that might collapse or get dissolved in some way, shape, or form. And Saturn will then come in and build something new and construct something new. So in one hand, they are totally polar opposite energy, but when they come together, they sort of have this melt away and then rebuilding, so sort of like breaking down something in order to build something new. And this is a collective level thing. I mean, for us it can be also happening in our own life, but on a collective level they are all collective generational planets. So on a collective level, from what we track from what happened in the previous cycles, is often related to some kind of construct breaking apart, you know, some system or government or world order sort of take place. And if we look back of what's been happening, well, what happened last month, right around the conjunction of Saturn and Neptune, the US and Israel launch attack on Iran. And it's been happening ever since. This week when Sun enters Aries and comes in conjunct with Neptune, which is right around now, Sunday, when I'm recording this video, and then conjunct Saturn later on the 25th, the Sun kind of energize and reignite what's been happening with those conjunctions. And we might see some changes, developments, some major headlines regarding to the war this week as well. And with the Sun-Neptune conjunction, Neptune often relates to dreams, often relates to some sort of ideals. It can individually, it can means that maybe you are dreaming up the ideal that you are willing to fight for and stand up for, because we're in the sign of Aries, right? So what do you believe in? What do you support, right? What are you willing to go to war for? And this can also be a little less dramatic. Maybe this is a personal dream, right? Take a look and see what themes and topics are in your Aries house, right? This is a new cycle that Sun and Neptune is initiating with this conjunction. And then a few days later, this week on 25th, when the Sun conjunct with Saturn, then it's kind of like asking you, okay, well, you have this ideal that you are willing to stand up for and fight for, and what kind of concrete actions or plan are you going to lay out to actually make this happen? And if you have a dream in this area of your life, what kind of plan and action plan or strategies or actions are you going to put in motion so that you can eventually build it or put it bring it down into reality, right? Saturn is not about quick things. Saturn is talking about how can I lay the foundation? How can I have some step-by-step plan that is going to yield long-term result, not just some quick thing that might fall apart quick in like a year or in a few months, right? And we also have Saturn in Aries for the next couple of years with this cycle that the sun is creating with this conjunction, right? The first Neptune and then Saturn, and they will be coexisting, right? Because Saturn will be in Aries for the next couple of years until 2028. Neptune will be here for longer. But for the next couple of years, this week perhaps is also a time to take a look and see your Aries house topic, or perhaps you're thinking about a goal, a commitment, a dream that you want to build towards in the next couple of years. And this week might be the first step towards it, right? Dreaming about it, planning about it, and see how you can slowly build towards that goal, that dream, and accomplish whatever it is that you want to. And for some people, Sun-Saturn conjunction can also be an ego check, a reality check. This aspect can perhaps for some of us, an experience or an interaction, an encounter, conversation that might happen today that, or maybe this is a block, right? As Saturn can talk about, a pause. So this can be an obstacle or a block that you come up with that humbles you today, that kind of bring you down to check in with yourself a little bit and invite you to maybe reflect on some responsibility that you might need to get serious about, that you might need to grow up a little bit as well. And then the sun is going to sextile Pluto in Aquarius at 5 degrees. This can also be related with what I just said, right? We talk about the dream, the plan, and things like that. And the sextile with Pluto is that maybe it can bring in some kind of internal transformation for some people today. It can be about embracing your death, right? Because Pluto talks about your death. So this can be about that. This can be about you, the action that you're taking, that you plan to take, will eventually bring in some profound transformation or changes for you in your life down the road. Sun and Pluto can also sometimes relate to a moment of fame, the viral moment. So for some, maybe today, whatever it is that you're doing, maybe you're in the limelight, maybe you are, you have some kind of presence in the social media, right? The sun is that illuminator. And with Pluto, today can be a viral moment for some people. Maybe you make a video, maybe you make a speech, you take an action towards, because we're talking about Pluto in Aquarius, this can be towards the collective liberation, to the power of people to talk about what is happening on a collective level. Maybe you are an influencer, right? You talk about what's the current event, and maybe the video, the post, the speech that you're making today will give you that viral moment as well. And of course, the sun also talks about the world leaders, right? The solar people in this collective world. So perhaps today, this can also be one or some leaders decide to make sort of some power moves, power grabs. Even there might be something developing, unfortunately, in the current situation around the world as well. So a few days later, on the 28th, it will be Saturn's turn. First, we have the sun sextile Pluto on the 25th. And then on 28th, it will be Saturn's turn. Saturn will sextile Pluto in Aquarius, and having both Sun and then Saturn sextile Pluto, when we put everything together, this can be the commitment that we make or the disciplined action we take, whether this is on an individual level or collective level, will lead to a deep transformation or some kind of lasting constructive changes in our life, individually and collectively. This can be an aspect that gives us the determination, the discipline, the endurance, that we need to commit to that change, that decision, to take that action. And sometimes we can feel like, well, I'm just one person. What can I do, right? One person creating a small change, the world might not feel it, but 500,000 people, 1 million people, 5 million people of the world population, maybe even 1 billion people come to realize and do that same small little change. We are going to create that ripple effect that can create waves, that can create that collective impact to the world. This Rumi's quote that I love and really resonate with this week astrology with all this aspect is, you are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. So this is also this aspect, having the Sun and Saturn conjunct first together, and then they both sextile Pluto and Aquarius, is really reminding us that every little change and accomplishments is valuable, whether this is in our personal life or on a collective level, right? We are not just that one drop, but the entire ocean is in one drop. The power of people. So this aspect is really, this series of aspects is really reminding us the power of people. When united, we can move mountains. On a side note, a different thing that I want to talk about with this aspect, which is the Saturn in Aries, sextile Pluto in Aquarius. So back in 2020, January 12th, we have that epic conjunction between Saturn and Pluto in the sign of Capricorn. And we all remember what happened during that time, COVID, right? And that really is what that epic conjunction is about. And this sextile between them that we're having this week, Saturn sextile Pluto, this is the first aspect that these two planets are making ever since that crazy conjunction back in 2020. So I wonder this week when they come to a sextile, maybe we'll be talking about COVID again. Maybe something about COVID, the aftermath of it will come out. Maybe on a medical level, right? We might see articles, documents, something being published that talks about the aftermath of COVID. Maybe this is about the psychological effect that we can feel, right? The isolation and loneliness that we endure, that we have to deal with, that we're facing also today as time goes, not just because of COVID and stem from COVID, but also how it continues to play out on a collective level with the increased technology advancement with AI and all those changes that the youngest generation right now is the most anxious and lonely population, right? In some way, we are connected more than ever, but yet we are also lonelier more than ever. So we might be seeing some topics, some news, some publication around that time, around these topic, and also on a medical level, maybe we'll see some, maybe some studies about long COVID, maybe how to cure it, how to treat it, or just about this topic as well. So pay attention and see if these kind of headlines pop up this week as well. Lastly, we jump back to the timeline a little bit. On March 26th, we have Venus conjunct Chiron in the sign of Aries at 25 degrees. This can be a sensitive day for some. If you are feeling this aspect, so meaning if you have any planets or point at 25 degrees in Aries or aspecting this degree, you might feel it a little bit more. So if you are feeling this aspect, please take care of yourself, be kind to yourself. This can be a day where we are being invited to get in touch with our wounds regarding to relationships, regarding to self-identity, self-worth. This can be about taking action towards that, right? Aries is that action-oriented sign, to reclaim our power, to acknowledge our wounds, to tend to our wounds, our healing journey. This can also be a day where we feel triggered, right? So maybe something come up, or you might just have this emotion comes up, right? So you might feel trigger easier today regarding to all the Venusian topics, which I just mentioned: self-worth, self-identity, in Aries, and relationships, right? Not just romantic. This can be around families, work environment, or friendship, and with yourself. So if that is the case, please be kind to yourself and allow yourself some time to go within to see what that might mean for you, to tend to that sensitive spot a little bit more today. Venus also talks about the woman in our world, right? The woman figures, anyone, right? Femme and queer communities as well. So today, this conjunction can also be the wounds of some of them that is being brought up to our attention. That perhaps some female, femme, or queer leaders, elders might be talked about. Maybe they bring up something, or we talk about them, or some kind of post or news comes up and remind us what we can learn from them, their wisdom, their healing journey, how they tend to their wound, how they fight for it, right? Because we're in the sign of Aries, it talks about the wisdom and the knowledge they pass down. Chiron is that wounded teacher warrior, and what can we learn from them, right? What can we learn from the ones that have gone before us and blaze a new trail for us and for the future generation? Venus in Aries is about activism. It's about non-conformity. So Venus and Chiron together in the sign of Aries are teaching us how we can fearlessly be ourselves, right? Be our authentic self, express ourselves without fear, refuse to conform, and just be that wild, untamed version of us, that is unowned and unbossed and just unconformed. What does that mean for you? And how can we learn from those who did it before us? And there's medicine when we refuse to conform, when we be that rebel, when we be not just anyone but ourselves, right? There is that healing power within that when we refuse to be anyone but just us, just ourselves. What does that feel like for you, right? So this is something that I also invite us to reflect on this week with this aspect, especially on 26 or around that time. So this is what is happening in the sky this week. Comment below, let me know how you find it, how you relate to these aspects. Feel free to come back after the week is gone. That's when you felt all those aspects, and come back and reflect on it, and of course share with me. I love connecting with you all, reading your comments, and if I can be in service of you with personal consultation, my information are in the description box below. So come back next week and we'll talk again. In the meanwhile, have a great week. Sending you all lots of love. Bye.